my channel where all things crafts go on. Today I'm dubbing because my microphone to my camera was off and I forgot to turn it on. So let's start with some of the materials. Today we're using these Dollar Tree figurines that say ceramic painting set, and they're in the craft area when the different seasonal crafts come out. Easter has Easter eggs and bunnies. Halloween has a lot of different Halloween items. One of them is this little pumpkin man, we can call him, and he is absolutely adorable, and so I wanted to use him to see if I could do a dry brush technique like I do the regular ceramic items. Now, these have a little brush that is really not very useful since it's plastic bristles. The paint also is sucked up by the piece. The piece is not really ceramic, it is plaster, so it will suck up anything water. As all dry brushing, we're going to start by basing the piece in black, and I use Ceramcoat brand of paint for ceramics, and my second best and go-to is Folk Art, but frankly sometimes whatever you have on hand is the best, and it really doesn't matter what you use as long as you are careful with it, and you may need more layers of a different brand. So we're going to use the Ceramcoat black to base our piece. Then we have the other colors that I chose for his little clothes, and we're going to take the piece out. There he is. He has a little sweater, he has little pants, little pumpkin on his hiney. We're going to use the orange for his little pumpkin hat. And a color that I forgot to mention in this part was green for the little stems. This is a denim because I figured he would have jeans on. Also a color that I changed later on, and I'll explain why at that point. So that is my Studio brand of paint that no longer is around, I don't think, because it was an AC Moore brand, and in the Northeast, AC Moore went by the wayside. Then Folk Art to mix with the denim if the denim wasn't the right color. I love to mix colors to get the right one. And I chose the yellow for the sweater. That is also Ceramcoat. Again, my favorite paint for ceramics. So those are our paints. We're going to start with the orange. But first, let's base the piece. We're going to brush all the little dust off of the piece before we start. If we don't do this, this is an important step. You have to get all the dust debris off of the piece. Otherwise, when you start painting, you're going to have all the crumbs stuck to it and will not be able to take it off, because if you start scraping it off, you might as well start all over again. Save yourself the trouble, get a brush, or if you want to do a rag or something, but get all that little dust off of him. We're going to move the paints out of the way, and the last ingredient of all this, brown paper bags, because that is what we're going to use to get excess paint off of our brush when we dry brush. let's talk a little bit about the brush for dry brushing. So the brush for dry brushing looks like this. It has white bristles that are a little stiffer than your average paintbrush, and that's because you're going to be using, you can see it better in this big one, but you're going to be using this to get almost dry paint, almost no paint onto your piece. So it needs to be stiff, strong bristles. These white ones are as soft as they are sturdy and will help get the dry paint or the minimal amount of paint. It's called dry brushing because you have very little paint on your brush and it almost looks like it's almost dry. And as you're brushing, it's a very light coat of paint. So there's different sizes for the small pieces. Obviously you use the smaller ones. You have a size 0, you have a size 1. Those tend to be ones that I use a lot for all the little details. You have a size 3, you have a size 5, and the big one that I showed you is a size 8. And frankly, the ones that I use the most are the 0, the 1, and the 3. However, if we have a big piece, it'll be obviously the 5 and the 8 that I'll be using. So the first step is to base our piece in black. So we're going to grab a paintbrush, soft bristle brush, anyone that you use to flat paint, something to put your paint in. I use those little, I don't really know what you would put in them. I guess maybe tiny little appetizers, but they're in the catering section of the Dollar Tree, and they come 12 in a pack for $1, and I love them for the paint. It's absolutely wonderful to put paint while you're working on a piece, and you can have 3 or 4 at a time with different colors. Sometimes if all I need is a little bitty of a color, I'll have 3 or 4 colors on, one in each corner of the little square one. I also use the tiny little cups as well, but these flat ones are fantastic to put paint on. So we're going to get this based, trying to get in all the crevices that you can. Done with this, and it's all completely covered. Now, one thing about plaster, and I've always had a hard time, and I've always thought that we can't do dry brushing on plaster, because as soon as you start dry brushing, the black comes off and the plaster comes up and you end up with a glob. So I kind of started thinking about it and realized that plaster is very porous. And so plaster will suck in the water from the paint. And when you start dry brushing, the wetness, it's still coming up and it will come off. So we're going to let this dry for 24 hours. So here we are, 24 hours. It is fully dry. So all that wetness won't come up, we're hoping. And we'll be able to dry brush without the moisture ruining our sealing coat of black. And we'll be able to hit our little piece with some new paint, and it'll take it and it'll look fine. So I'm using a bigger brush, a size 3, so that I can cover more space, because the pumpkin is a little bigger than the rest. And it's a brand new brush, and the brushes do come kind of stuck together to the end so that the bristles are protected. As you can see, this one is new. I haven't opened it, and it is all stuck together. And you just kind of flick it with your finger and your nail, and it'll get nice and bushy and ready to go. So we're going to pick up paint, and because it's a brand new brush and we haven't used it, we're just starting, we're going to get it nice and soaked in paint. And when it's all soaked, now you're going to take all that paint off. A lot of people think it's a waste of paint, but frankly, the result is so beautiful that it's just worth it. Okay, so now once you take off, and it's basically just when you think there's no more paint on it, that's when you take it back and you kind of pound and pull, pound and pull, pound and pull. And you're just, whatever little bit of paint is left on your brush, that is what is going on to your piece. As you can see, it's a very light coat. It is an orange color that does take more than one. But there it is, you pound and sweep, pound and sweep. And that is what you do. And you just keep putting paint down, keep putting paint down. Just because it looks very light doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Dry brushing is for patient people because you're not going to get an immediate result. You have to keep pounding paint, pounding paint. Now I'm showing you what's called a hot spot. And I really don't know enough about plaster casting, so I don't know if it's the same as ceramic casting, where after we pour the slip and take it out of the mold, there's seams and pieces that we have to clean. And sometimes if we clean it too hard and rub it too much, you're going to end up after firing with something called a hot spot that looks a lot like what I just showed you there, that won't take paint very easily. And so the way that we fix it in ceramic is we put some wet paint on it, almost like we're flat brushing. You just put the wet paint on it and just kind of let that dry a bit and just pounce it on and let it dry. And when it's completely dry, then we just continue the dry brushing, and hopefully that paint will pick up the minimal paint of the other and it'll look the same. So I'm going to give that a try here. Just put a little bit of wet paint on it and then just keep working around it and come back to it with whenever my next coat is, and just keep working on it. And that should work. It looks like it's going to work. So we'll just keep going, taking paint off and just dry brushing, dry brushing, dry brushing all the way around. We're going to need several coats to make this top look completely orange. So we're going to continue doing that, going all the way around. Again, you pound, sweep, pound, sweep, pound, sweep, pound, sweep, and you just keep going and going and going. And layer after layer after layer. You have to be patient. It's a little bit of paint at a time so that you still get that depth. The idea of having a black base to your piece is that the details and the connections between the different parts, like between the head and the body and the shirt and the pants, you want there to be that shadow, and the black base will give you the shadow that you need to give it depth. So when you're pound paint, don't go into those crevices. Don't feel like you need to keep putting paint into those crevices. Those details need to be black at the bottom of it so that you have those shadows. So the little ridges On the pumpkin, I just go right over them. I don't put paint inside it. I just go right over them. And then I'll have paint on both sides, but the ridge is black. And you'll see it when we're done. So this just keeps going. You keep going with, see, I was touching and checking to see if it was dry enough. You just keep pounding your little piece with some paint until you've given it all the layers that it needs to have to get to the color that you want it to be. So while this is drying a little bit, before I start pounding more coats of it, just to let you know that I did change the blue pants to purple pants. And the reason for that is that the package brings it's purple, yellow, and I wanted to make sure that I had the same feel of the coat, of the piece, I guess. And the purple pants just made sense. That's how I could incorporate it. So purple pants, yellow shirt, and of course his little orange pumpkin head and little black shoes. So while that's drying, I wanted to let you know that. So now we're going to go ahead and start putting our second dry brush coat. And let's see how that's going to come out. Take a little bit more paint off. You'll know when you start if you have too much paint. The piece itself will tell you because it's going to look funny. And you just go back to your paper, take the paint off. So it's looking like it's taking a lot more orange. And we're just going to keep on pounding. So let's take a closer look at how the orange is coming out with our second coat of dry brushing. You can see the orange is coming up. We're seeing it a lot more clearly that it is orange with the second coat. Okay, our orange is done and it looks really, really cute. You can tell he's a nice little orange pumpkin head. And I've started with the yellow. And of course we need to make sure that the very top is completely dry. Now the sweater is nicely ridged, and I did have to clean up some of the detailing to start going on the yellow. So I've given the front already a coat, and I'm going to start working my way around. But it's going to take as well a few coats in order for it to show. We just need to be patient. There is a lot of patience involved in dry brushing, especially if you want a lighter color over the black. Black is a very dark color. It absorbs a lot of the lightness. And so you have to be willing and ready to put a lot into it. Now, one of the things that I do sometimes when it's a very, very light coat, oops, got out of frame there, is I keep my brush a little wetter. I'm still very dry though. And again, you start pound and sweep, pound and sweep. That's what you do. Pound, sweep, pound, sweep. And what you're getting off your brush, again, is minimal to start giving it a base. And that basically means that you have to do it many, many times. Once again, grab some paint on my brush, pound and paint and sweep, pound and sweep, pound and sweep. sweater is done, you're now ready for the pants. And I've got my purple. Now the pants have no texture. The pants are just smooth material, so we're going to need a little bit more paint. Now, I'm not talking about a wet brush, okay? We're not flat painting, and even on a smooth surface, you want the dry brush finish to come through. In order to do that, you need to continue to do the dry brush technique, even though you don't have details that'll have the shadows that we're looking for. So you have a little bit more paint, so not as dry, not wet, and you just start. You see how much less I do? I just take out the big bulk of the paint, and then just again pound and sweep, pound and sweep, pound and sweep, and you just go through the entire section. Now, right now on the camera, what I'm seeing is that it still looks black. Believe me when I tell you, you can see, I see the shimmer of the purple. But this is not going to be the only coat that we put. Once I put this dark purple, so that it has a nice strong undertone of purple, I am going to put a lighter purple. I don't know if you can see it on the right hand side, my bottles, there's another purple there, that is a little lighter in color. It's a lighter purple. This is like an aubergine eggplant purple. And then I'll take the lighter purple and then go on top of it, again dry brushing, and the depth will be really gained from that dark purple. If you put the light purple straight on the black, it's going to eat it up. So you want a purple base so that the light purple comes out purple and not a blue or a sky blue or something. So as you can see, well, maybe I'm seeing that the camera didn't really catch the full color and the depth of color of the purple. It looks black to my eye, but we really can't count on my eye here. But there is a purple undertone there that the light purple is going to pick up. Once that purple is in there, now we're ready for the lighter color purple. And like I said, I'm using this is, I guess, what they would call true purple as far as this brand. And then the one I was using is called eggplant, and it's also a ceramic coat. So those colors tend to be a little deeper and deeper and brighter. I'm not sure if you understand what I mean, but this is a different brand, and their purple is a little lighter, and it's perfect for putting on top of the really dark, so that you pull out the purple, and it's not too light and it's not too dark. And you'll start seeing right now, you're going to see that it's pretty dark and it's not really highlighting very well, but it will, because remember, this is for the patient. You have to do coat after coat until you pull up the color that you really want. Obviously, if you want it darker, you don't put as many coats. If you want it lighter, you keep putting coats. And that's pretty much how it works. I've had questions asked about my ceramics if the light colors, like if I do a baby blue or a baby pink or even a white section of a piece, do I base coat that piece in black as well? Or do I just leave it white and paint straight on the bisque? The answer is yes, I do base it. I base the entire piece in black. The reason for that is the black is there to give shadows to the piece so that you have that depth in your piece and not just a flat paint that looks like a painted ceramic. This needs to look a little bit more realistic, and I like that look. So that's one of the reasons why dry brushing is my all-time favorite. and basically the only technique that I use nowadays. I don't even do any glazing or firing paint. I just love this dry brush technique. I think it looks so real, and it makes it come alive. So yes, the short answer is yes. I do base coat the entire piece, regardless of what color is going to go on it. And it just takes a lot more coats. If I'm doing a white on a black, it's gonna take a lot more coats, obviously, than if I flat painted it directly on the white bisque. But if I do that, it will not have those shadows that I need to make it look realistic. So my snowmen, which I'm known for my snowmen, since I almost exclusively, but not really, I just like to do a lot of snowmen for Christmas and winter. But all my snowmen have a lot of depth to them because I base them black, even though I know I'm going to paint it all white. All right, so back to this that we're putting, dark on dark and then light on dark. The layers of the paint, as they start going on, will start showing up, and it'll be a lot prettier purple than just painting it on. It'll look, like worn pants. This is a little pumpkin kid, and he plays around a lot, and his little pants are going to be kind of worn out a little bit. And as you can see, there it is. We're starting to see the purple. And it's going to need a few more coats, but it'll look really, really cute at the end of it all. So let's go into some fast forward so that you can see as the coats go on. Okay, and here you can really see how the purple has come out. As you can see, it's not a very light lavender kind of thing. It is a purple, and it looks really nice. Your screen may show it almost bluish, but in person it's pretty purple. And as we were doing the pants, we found there's a tiny little pumpkin right under his butt that we forgot to paint with the orange. So we're going back to one of our small brushes, again loading it up with orange because it's the first time we're using that color with that brush. So we're just making sure that it's loaded up with paint and taking it off. And now we're going to paint the little pumpkin that's right under his butt. Okay, we now have the major parts already painted, and it's time to do some detailing. So I want to do the collar and then some of the stems, and we're going to do that with a detail brush that is going to be basically like flat brushing. So this is a detail brush. This one is from Dollar Tree. It comes in a 2-pack with a really big brush and then that detailer. For $1, it is fantastic because this little detail brush is hard to find, and it's really good, actually. So I buy them whenever I see them. I buy 10 or 12 at a time, and I have the really big ones for usually basing big pieces of ceramic and just using the black paint. So the first thing that we're going to detail is the little green stem on the little pumpkin in the back. And there it is. You just simply pick up some paint and you paint it on. There's no dry brushing here. It's just painted on. Mostly because it is a flat surface. There is no detail to it. And so it's a lot easier and quicker to put the green on as a flat. Now I need to be really careful that I don't touch that green with my hand and end up spreading green spots all over. It usually means that I have to do the touch-ups in black and start over, and then if it doesn't blend nice with the rest of the dry brushing, I base it all in black and start all over again, and I really don't want to do that. So now comes the detailing at the very top for the stem that ended up having some purple, some pumpkin on it, I cannot get the word out today, can I? Some pumpkin orange on it is what I was trying to say. The name of this orange is Harvest Orange. And so the detail goes on with the little detail brush. Oh, and I'm out of, there we go. And it just you're not going to overload your paintbrush, but it is a fully wet brush. It is not a dry brush. And you just paint it on. Get your green on. All right? And we'll see what we're doing with the little hands. That's a decision that still needed to be made at this point. Now, this is a tool that I've had for over 30 years. I absolutely love this tool. It has a flat on one side and a curved pointy on another. And I've used it for everything from mixing paint to pulling out wax to spreading wax to spreading textured paint. It's just a wonderful piece to use for everything. And I think that I bought it along the dental tools that get sold to work on polymer clay. I think that's where I got this from. Not quite sure where else it can be found. I would suggest that if you want a tool like this, you look there first. Now what I do with this tool is I take out where I don't want certain paint and I put in detail where it's been cleaned off. Not that I know a lot about plaster casting, but some of this looks like when it got cleaned, when seams got cleaned, some of the detail came off. So I put some of the details back on with this tool. It's a very handy tool to have. You see, there it is, the green is dry. You can see the purple of the pants as well. And the top is dry. So now we're going to wash our brush. These little cups are also from Dollar Tree. They come like 18 or 20 in a pack for $1. You can find them in the catering section. So we're going to do the collar, which I don't want yellow. Oh no, wait, we're going to do the face first. That's right, we're going to do the face first and then we're going to do the collar. So let's do the face first. And do the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And again, the hands, we're not quite sure what we're going to do with. My explanations are a lot better in the original video. Unfortunately, what I thought my microphone was picking up, in reality, it was dead on arrival and needed to be charged. And because it doesn't tell me when the battery is getting low, I don't know. So I just turn it on and start talking, and then to find out that it doesn't. Oh, I am doing the collar now. Never mind. The eyes are last. So I'm picking up some of the paint, the purple paint. The dark purple first. And we're just going to paint the collar. Just tiny little scallops. Then we're going to paint the collar. Let it dry a little and then paint it again with the lighter purple. while the purple is drying, let's wash our brush. And let's get some face details on this little pumpkin boy. We're going to get our black, and I'm just going to take it from the top of the black paint, right from the cap. It's not a lot that we're going to use. And again, you don't want too much. You don't want a dry brush, but you don't want to brush with a whole blob of paint. You just want it wet. And you go into the ridge of the eye. I think I'm trying to paint and show you at the same time. You need to figure out a different angle of my camera. Maybe behind me looking down. I don't know. I have to play with that. But there you go. You see right inside the crevice, you just paint it black. And there's your eye. I mean, some of them, if they have more detail, is really cool because you could do the white and the eyeball and just, you know, give it a whole different kind of look. But this one, it's just an upside down V that's indented in the figure and just paint black inside. And that's all you need to do. Just checking to see, make sure that I don't have paint in my hands that I'm going to start leaving marks all over the piece. Once again, grab some paint. If you grab too much, dab it off, but leave the brush wet. And go to the nose, same thing. Just color inside the indentation. So you have a little nose. Well, the good thing about this is that it's easy to fix. You just grab your dry brush again and put a little orange on top of what little black came out. And you do the same thing. Remember, your base is black, so it's not going to be foreign to put a little bit of black in there. Now we go to the mouth. Mouth is a little trickier, but just as long as you keep it inside on the edges and go on his little smile, go all the way up to the peak of it, to the little tip of it, and then just bring down your black. Just bring it down, and your little teeth doesn't matter. If you get the black on the teeth, it's not a big deal. Your whole piece is black after all. And you are going to wet brush the white on your little teeth. See how it's coming out? He's getting life just by doing something that simple. Life is coming into him. He's expressing personality. He's expressing character. And our piece just automatically comes to life with something that simple as filling in with black in those indentations. Because it's all done for you already. The piece comes basically telling you where to paint and where not to paint. Just making sure that you have the smile full all the way up to the peak. Here he is. So now again we're going to wash our brush because we're going to go into one of the most annoying colors to work with, which is white or ivory or like cream. Any of those very, very light colors are absolutely very annoying to work with. So I have my color now. I chose an oyster white, it's called, because it's not a bright, bright white. It's a little off, which is closer to what natural teeth look like. Not that I know what natural teeth would look like on a pumpkin, but work with me. So my paint is a little dry there. I've had it for a long time. I really do need to open the new one that I have. So I'm kind of grabbing at the end of the barrel there. Okay. Take off excess paint. And here we go. Just outline the tooth. Now the beauty of this is, and I don't know if I did this on camera or off, but both my teeth were a little too big. I went back with the black and outlined them again until I had them the size I wanted. So it's very forgiving. That's why another thing that I like about this technique, it is very forgiving. Mistakes are very easily fixed. And sometimes you just leave them there because, frankly, you can't even see the mistakes unless it's you, because you know they're there. But it is a really, really forgiving technique. And I just love it. I can't talk about it enough because it's so much fun to do. And I love that feeling of seeing the piece just come alive in my hands. It's just a lot of fun, and it can be addictive. It'll eat you out of house and home to get all these pieces, and then you paint them, and what do you do with them? I had to start selling them because I had so many. I didn't know what to do because they were taking over my house. So it's just fun. Very, very fun. I just started, donating some, giving some as gifts. But once my daughter put me on Etsy, she just opened a store for me on Etsy and said, "Here you go, it's done. Just put your ceramics on there and call it a day." And that's what I've been doing now for 3 or 4 years. And that too is a lot of fun because I've started getting requests, and I want something for this occasion, I want something for that occasion, what can you get for me? I have customers that have bought so much from me that tell me, just paint me something for this occasion in these colors. I don't care what it is. You do it, I trust you, just paint it and send it to me. It's just, great people out there. So it is addictive, it's a lot of fun, and see the teeth are a little too big. So I did go back with the black and fix them. So while the mouth and the teeth are drying and I go back to fix them, right now I'm going to work on the last layer of the collar, which is the lighter purple. And it's basically the same thing. Load your paintbrush, take off the excess, and just paint over it. Now, what really comes out cute with that is not only do you have the shadow from the black, but you have a little bit of the shadow from the purple, and it looks really, really dimensional, and I really enjoy that. And the cool thing, and I know I keep talking about the cool things of this technique, but there's just so many nuances to it. You can make whatever you want, and you can turn it into whatever you want. You can make it look as deep and detailed or as light and airy as you want, and all with the use of paint. And that's what makes it so exciting. So it's just really cool. And now I'm using my favorite tool, the toothpick, to clean up wherever I got paint that I didn't want it to be. While it's still wet, you can use your toothpick and clean it up. So now I'm doing the back. So let's clean up that smile and the teeth and make him look a little less bucktooth and a little more natural. And now we go back, always cleaning my brush, making sure it's a nice clean brush. And again to the black, and that's what I was saying, that the black really just gets you clean. Well, cleaning up the shoes first. Making sure that the black is black, because we want them with nice, crisp black shoes. And I'm sure there was some purple from the dry brushing that fell on there. So that has to get cleaned up. So I decided that his little hands, if he's a little pumpkin boy, shouldn't his hands be orange as well? If his head is orange, then I guess his hands should be orange. So I'm painting his little hands in orange so that our little pumpkin boy can be complete with his little hands. And I did keep them not as bright orange as the head, so that they could be distinguished aside from the head. If you do it the exact color, they get lost and he'll look like a football head. So you want to keep it a little lighter in color so that it's set apart. So here he is. He's now complete. Probably going to fix the teeth a little. I know that I did looking back at it. But there it is. He's done. And he's so cute. Would you have imagined that he could look like this? He is just the most adorable little guy. And I'll probably paint the other one maybe with different clothes. But for now, he's fine. And all it took was a little paint, a little know-how, and a $1 little figurine. And now we know what to do when they're plaster, and we can paint them even though they're plaster. Just have to remember to base it in black and let it sit for 24 hours and make sure that it's completely dry so that you don't bring up the wetness and it'll destroy your paint. But beyond that, look at how cute. Look at where we started. A $1 Dollar Tree figurine. And look at this cute little guy. He will never ever look like $1. Nobody's going to believe that it cost you $1. It is adorable. It's adorable to hang. He has a little ribbon that he comes with that you can hang. It would be a cute gift, decoration. He's just absolutely adorable. And all you need is some paint, some dry brushing, and you're set. You have a beautiful piece out of just $1. Thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you'll come back and visit me for future videos. Annyeong!